Our next talk is Patricia Castillo and Philosophizing.
Every year, I go to summer camp. From my junior to my senior year, I was accepted into the Yale summer session. When I share this experience with other people, they tend to be really impressed, but in reality, they think I'm really boring. Nobody wanted to spend summer loading up on courses or learning on new things right after school had ended, so I was on my own. The Gothic architecture of the New Haven town was surrounded by the dining halls, dormitories, and libraries of the Yale University. New Haven was dull and boring compared to the vibrant cities I had visiting days before arriving, and I still had 5 weeks left. 5 weeks. That number really struck me. I was extremely nervous as I got off the train and hauled my heavy suitcase into the Uber. I'm not gonna lie, as soon as I got to Yale, I wanted to go back home. Even the first day, Sunday, July 1st, was a long, hot day, and I was lacking the confidence to go downstairs and start socializing and meeting new people. Even the following day, when I was supposed to go to class, I decided that I wasn't comfortable enough and I would run to Marin's instead. So I decided to go over to the admissions office and get a couple of my courses switched. But as I was preparing to sign some paperwork, I noticed that one of the pieces of paper read, "If you withdraw of the Yale summer session during the first week, you'll get your full tuition refunded." And this really stuck with me. I began to think in that moment, wow, wouldn't it be great just to go back home, spend the rest of the summer with my friends? As I discussed my plan with others who were close to me, they were actually surprised. I had spent all of the school year dreaming about the day that I would get on a plane and go off to camp, as I did every year. The following day, I went to my afternoon class, but I was more worried about the one I had in the morning, the one I had missed. It was called Philosophy of Happiness. The class of Philosophy of Happiness intended to be an introductory course to philosophy through the studies of texts that studied ancient and contemporary philosophy. But after all, I had skipped my first lecture out of sheer fear and was starting off what seemed to be eternal semester off on the wrong foot. So I emailed my professor, and he basically told me that I should be able to get the readings myself. I proceeded to contact the rest of my classmates, and they told me, and I got a lot of responses back, but one of them caught my attention. It was by this guy named Felix, and Felix had answered in an email a picture of his notes and the caption that read, "Sorry, some of the notes on the margins are in Spanish." In that moment, I was thrilled. There was a person who spoke Spanish in my class. He was super nice, and he could be my friend. The next morning, we met up for breakfast, and we walked together to class. And in that moment, I decided that I didn't even want to skip another lecture. We fell in love with the theories that were presented by the Greeks and their contemporary counterparts. We discussed definitions of words such as justice, morality, order. Over the course of the semester, I debated to myself, who of them is right? Was it Aristotle? Was it Descartes? Was it Nagel? Even the kids' movie Inside Out proved to have philosophical meaning. And then I started thinking, could it be that all of them were wrong? I disagreed with Epicurus, who said that people shouldn't be afraid of death because once you die, you no longer are. I learned about Sisyphus, the story of a creature who had to push a rock all the way to the top of the hill and then all the way to the bottom each and every day, doing and undoing his hard work. I examined my own life with Wolf's claim that happy lives are lives of meaningful impact in projects of worth. And the professor asked us, what if I told you that you died today and 30 days later the world would cease to exist? How would knowing this affect you in the way that you carry out your daily life? The end of the semester left me uncertain, to say the least, because by the end of the class, we had all decided and agreed upon the fact that there is no one-size-fits-all happiness, as everyone had been trying to decipher in the past. I ended up writing my thesis on the philosophy of death and its relationship to suffering. But today, I would rather share a more optimistic lesson that I learned while I was at Yale. After learning about happiness and all of the things that come with it, I decided to try to find happiness, to try to define it, and start my journey in my own life once I got back home. So I started talking to adults and teenagers who claimed to be happy and what they did and how they felt like. But I realized that I was never gonna get to the answer of my question because I was looking in the wrong place. Those who smiled the most, spent the most time with their friends, focused on the good things, those were kids. They weren't grown-ups like I thought I would find. I learned after talking with one of my friends that kids, even though it seems silly because adults know more, they have more experiences, they have more knowledge, they have lived longer simply because of this fact, people disregard that kids are actually the happiest human beings of all. Human beings write on walls and believe they are invincible. They believe in fairy tales and superheroes, and they love selflessly. Kids aren't afraid to make mistakes, or they don't think about things as much as adults do. Growing up once seemed like a dream, promising freedom, opportunity, but we're not gonna lie that sometimes it feels like nostalgia kicks in, and it seems like the days that we don't remember were easier. This is especially true thinking about the fact that I know a lot of adults who struggle to keep their busy lives together. They often would refer to the fact that it takes a lot of hard work, discipline, and even letdowns to reach ultimate happiness. It seems like suffering is an inevitable component of life, but I didn't think that this was right, and I didn't want to abide by these rules. We also need to consider that little kids cry about things that seem to be unnecessary or unimportant to people. But in reality, the reason why a kid is crying about, the reason that they are upset is meaningful to them. Kids aren't afraid to express their emotions wholly and react to situations. And that is exactly the type of behavior that we should adapt. After it, this course taught me a lot about happiness. It taught me a lot about examining my own life and being able to be more conscious of my actions. It taught me that only the people who were conscious of their actions and their surroundings were the ones who could make a meaningful impact on Earth. And they were the only ones who provided the structure for a well-functioning society by putting creativity, knowledge, and intelligence into everything that they did. Active citizens are people who lead others to be happy. They are people who do good because it's the right thing, not because they are supposed to, like some of the Greeks said in their studies of how a society should be structured. But it's more interesting to me because after going to Yale, I learned a lot about the concept of just thinking about something philosophically. Thanks to Professor Vogel and my friend Felix, who encouraged me to go to class, pay attention, do the readings, and then reflect on them, I started thinking about humans. I started thinking about how in school we all learn about mathematics, history, psychology, all of these different disciplines. But in reality, all of them are about the same subject. They're all about humans. In all of the classes I take in school, the protagonist is the human, taking samples from ecosystems and studying them under microscopes, creating formulas and solving equations, winning battles peacefully and ending wars. We all record scientific discoveries and historical events and save them for the next generation. The next generation, what they do, they use the same information and they create something new, which is exactly what all the great thinkers did. They used the information that they had to create something more, and then other generation would come forward and do something differently because of the fact that they led different lives. Life can be summarized into moments where we feel things or we do things. We can only do so because of the things that we know, because of the things that we had learned. Moreover, this is the purpose of education and of philosophy itself, because if we are able to examine our emotions, compare them to others, and try to live with purpose, then we will reach active lives of engagement, as I said prior. But most importantly, this class taught me a very important lesson, that even though it seems like every song has been composed and every idea has been thought, that's not true. Even if it seemed like that at the time when I was reading up on all of the theories that were presented, I also reached the conclusion that humans are blessed with this incredible potential to create and to innovate. I am one in billions, and I too share these same characteristics and are able to create something meaningful and create purpose in my life and the life of others. So today, I invite you to think more about your lives, to think more about what makes you happy, about why you're not doing those things more. I invite you to think about your skills and experiences, the places you have traveled, the people you have known. Because at the end of the day, all I have to show for myself are my skills and experiences. More than 10 years of learning about and traveling about the world, and I will continue to do so for many years to come. Thank you.